Hello, my name is Lauren Rich, and today I will be taking you through my final portfolio website. To start off with, I'll take you through my MWA1 reflection, which is located right down here. So my feedback I got on my reflection was to add more detail when discussing my final medium, which I did add down here. And I talked about why I thought my medium was best, and my medium was an article. And I added how it might have been the easy choice and the popular choice, but I didn't choose it for that reason. I chose it because it was the best way for me to incorporate all the aspects I wanted to. And I also just added about why the specifics why I wanted it. For example, the question and answer section I added, quote section from her other student athletes, and also a section where I broke down her job as a student advisor. And the other feedback I got on it was the fact that when I submitted it the first time, my format for the page numbers was off. So what I did is I resubmitted it as a PDF to keep the structure throughout. So as you can see on all the pages, it's formatted correctly then. Okay. Now I'll take you through my MWA1. I just have to open on this other page. Here. Well, as you can see, what happens is when it goes to the other site, I don't have the software on this particular computer to open it, so you just have to click the download button up top, which is right here, and then you'll be able to get it. And for this one, the feedback I got back on it was that my spacing wasn't consistent throughout, which is something I went back and changed. As you can see throughout, spacing's the same, and I double spaced all of it because at first it was kind of single spaced and double spaced, and that was part of the reason, because when I uploaded it, again, the thing happened where the formatting wasn't the same as on my Word document. So I just had to go back and change it on Word and then upload it as a PDF. So now its spacing is the same throughout. And also consistent alignment was a problem in this. So what I just ended up doing is, so it looked cleaner, more professional, I just did left alignment for everything. And also I was told to add more to the Student Success Manager job description, which I did I just kind of elaborated more on like the specifics of what she does. I added about how she plans out homework schedules, coordinates classes around practices, schedules tutors, sets up meeting with on-campus advisors, and also helps registering for classes, which is something that not a lot of people would know about unless you actually were to ask her specifics or actually were involved with her directly as student athletes. So I just added that little insight that you wouldn't know unless you knew someone with the job personally. And I also just added about how they're kind of there to be the voice for the student athletes of the school. And I just really elaborated about her job description as a student success manager in more depth. And also another problem I had was on my Q&A, it wasn't really, it was spaced out kind of weird because I just took the quotes directly and I didn't really structure it. So what I did is I just shortened the sentences and I just restructured them. So then this section would just make a little bit more sense as you're reading it. And also another suggestion was maybe to add another quote in here, or maybe some personal experience. So what I just did is I added picture, and then I added my own quote so you can just see how she's affected me and just another inside look from one of our athletes. And also, I had a problem with my works cited where it wasn't proper MLA because I didn't do a hanging indent, which I ended up just changing it to. So then the works cited would be correct. Okay. Now I'll take you through my MWA2. Oh, and also one more thing was, because I uploaded it down here, this space was open, so a suggestion was for me to add pictures, so I added a picture of someone who isn't Dada, but this is what it kind of looks like, the student success manager, how like the setup is, like the athlete, and then the manager, and just kind of talking out schedules and stuff, and then here's a picture of Dada. Okay, so going on to my MWA2, I also just added a picture here, something that's just relevant kind of to what I'll be talking about in these. Okay, so going on to my MWA2. So the things I was told that I probably needed to go back and change was that I just needed to be more specific and elaborate about the logos and pathos that I was referring to here, because I just kind of talked about the logos and pathos before, but not really gone into the specifics about what they actually were in my paper. So I just went here and I talked about what it was, like the logos and how it was the statistics and facts, and I added an example about this, and then I referred to the pathos, which could be seen in the pictures and the emotional connections that I did. So I just elaborated on that. And the only other issue I had on this was also the reformatting, because again, when I uploaded it, the page number, my name, it was structured weird, so I just had to save it as a PDF, so then when I submitted it, it'd be correct all throughout. Okay, so now I'll take you through my MWA2, which is called Bridge Talks, and this one is dealing with the TED Talk document, and mine is about the Battle of the Sexes. And the changes I was told to make on this were just first of all, dealing with some small technical issues, like I had 2 apostrophes at one point right here, and so I just had to go and change that. And also, for my works cited, I had all this formatted correctly, but the thing was, I didn't reference any of this in my paper, so I went back and I referenced it with in-text citations. And you can see that here, where with this information, I referenced where that was. Here with this information. Here with this information. And also the one that she specifically pointed out to do was about the Bobby Riggs quote that I have here. And so then you just know where that came from. So I cited that too. And also I was told to talk about more about the results of the Battle of the Sexes. And I just went into more background about it, about saying how, because before I just kind of touched on, it was really impactful, but I didn't really go into too much depth about like what exactly it did impact. So I offered up some more statistics, and I said about, like, since this uproar, like 70% of sports now offer equal prize money, which is a huge improvement from before. Literally, there was no equal prize money anywhere, and now that is a big change. And I also noted about how something specific, how in tennis now, a lot of the most watched matches are in women's singles, which is something that would virtually never happen before. And the Battle of the Sexes directly affected that. And then I also touched on a more recent movement, which involved the United States women's soccer team and how they're able to now take a stance for equal payment because they are now outperforming the men's consistently. and how since Battle of the Sexes, they're able to use that as their claim, and I talked about that right here. And now I'll talk you through my MW3. And also I just added pictures, and for this one I decided to just add a bunch of the UNM sports teams because what I'm talking about in this one specifically was referring to student athletes and the financial issues. So I added one on the tennis team, which is the team I'm on, volleyball, golf, and baseball. And I'll talk you through my reflection. And here's my reflection, and I just had a couple things to change on this one. And one was capitalizing the funder's name. And right here, before I had just capitalized like global and sports, not the whole thing. And since it is a proper foundation, I had to go back and do that. You can see that throughout there. And also, I had a problem where I accidentally confused effected and affected, which you can see right here. I put affected the way, and so I had to change it to affected with an A, and I had changed that there and there. And also I had an issue right here where this comma was accidentally a period, then that turned capitalized because of that, so I just had to go back and change that so that was correct. And now I'll talk you through my PSA document, which you can see right here, and it's called Save the UNM Student Athletes. And on this one, I pretty much got it right. All I had to do was capitalize Lobos, because so then it'd be referring to the actual sports team and not the animal. So I just had to go back and capitalize it, but other than that, I had no other suggested changes on this one. And going to my MWA3, again, I just have to click the download button because I don't have the software on this computer. But going through it, one of the biggest things is when you first opened my other one, the formatting was completely off, so this was off center. So I just had to go back and save it as a PDF to correct that. And I also had forgotten to capitalize the whole funder's name, and I was allowed to leave, through suggestion, through the videos, I was told to leave that not capitalized and capitalize all that, and so I just went through and I changed that. And on this one I did do in-text citation, but I didn't have it in correct MLA format because I also had the year, so I just went back and got rid of that. So there's just the last name. And right here, before I had these as two separate sentences, so what I just did is I removed the comma and put the period, so then that would be correct. And basically on this one, I just had to go into more depth about the solution, and talking about how, just going to more in depth on that, and talking about how, right here I put talking about the fundraising opportunities and how the student athletes can directly impact that. And just talking about how community outreach involves the student athletes directly. But yeah, just elaborating on that. And also, I just had to change my citation because I accidentally had Mexican dot the new, which was not correct. And yeah, if I just go back here. And for all my outcomes, I just had to add pictures